Hi everybody, today is September 26, 2014. This is not good. Looks like the Ebola virus has mutated again. Thanks to one of my subscribers, they sent me this. You know who you are. Thank you very much. New virus in Africa looks like rabies, acts like Ebola. That's because it is. A new virus that appears similar to rabies but has the symptoms and lethality of Ebola has been dubbed the base Congo virus. It killed 2 teenagers in Congo in 2009. A virus that killed 2 teenagers in Congo in 2009 is a completely new type related to rabies, but causing the bleeding and rapid death that makes Ebola infection so terrifying, scientists reported Thursday. They're searching for the source of the virus, which may be transmitted by insects or bats. The new virus is being dubbed base Congo virus for the area where it was found. Researchers are finding more and more of these new viruses, in part because new tests make it possible, but also in the hope of better understanding them so they can prevent pandemics of deadly diseases. The virus infected a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl in the same village in Congo in 2009. They didn't stand a chance, said Joseph Fair of Medipania, a company that investigates pathogens. Fair is in the Democratic Republic of Congo now, under contract with the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, to help battle an ongoing Ebola outbreak. They expired within 3 days, Fair said in a telephone interview. It was a very rapid killer. A few days later, a male nurse who cared for the 2 teenagers developed the same symptoms and survived. Samples from the lucky nurse had been tested, and it turned out to be a completely new virus had infected him. Fair and other researchers report in the Public Library of Science journals PLOS Pathogens. The genetic sequences went to Dr. Charles Chu of the University of California, San Francisco. We were astounded that this patient had sequences in his blood from a completely unknown and unidentified virus, Chu said. We weren't expecting that. Congo is very much known for having Ebola and Marburg outbreaks, yet about 20% of the time we have hemorrhagic fever outbreaks that are completely negative, which means unknown causes, and they are not Ebola. The sequencing puts the new virus on its own branch of the bad virus family tree, somewhat related to Ebola and the virus that caused Lassa fever, another horrific killer, and most closely related to the rabies. This family usually only infects animals, with one notable exception, rabies. But rabies is not known to cause hemorrhaging. It's plenty horrible on its own, of course, killing virtually all patients if they aren't vaccinated soon after infection. A nurse who took care of the first infected nurse had antibodies to the new virus. It doesn't look like the teenagers infected one another, says Fair, but they probably infected the first nurse, who probably infected the second. Tests of other villagers have found no more evidence of the virus, however, which is good news. Although the source of the virus remains unclear, study findings suggest that the base Congo virus may be spread by human-to-human contact and is an emerging pathogen associated with acute hemorrhagic fever in Africa, the researchers wrote. Africa is loaded with nasty viruses. Lassa fever virus comes from a family known as arenaviruses. It causes 500,000 cases of hemorrhagic fever a year. Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and Rift Valley fever viruses are in another family called Bunya viruses. Ebola and Marburg viruses are filoviruses that kill anywhere between 30% and 90% of victims. They are also helping wipe out great apes such as gorillas in Central Africa. This adds a new one to the list. It worries Chu because its closest relative is spread by biting fleas in Australia. We think that is potentially a valuable clue. This virus may have come from an insect vector, Chu says. What is scary about this virus is if it does happen to be spread by insects, it has the potential to be something like West Nile. West Nile showed up in the United States for the first time in 1999, having never been seen here before. It causes regular outbreaks in Africa and parts of Europe. However,